What if what you're holding on to is slowly killing you? My friend, it's time to blow that up. I'm Sara Stansberry, coach, author, and recovering codependent. And on this podcast, you'll learn to break free from people-pleasing, heal from relationship wounds, and move beyond anxiety and self-doubt. Because sometimes you need to destroy what isn't working to build something beautiful. Welcome to How to Blow Up Your Life. Hi, everyone, and welcome to How to Blow Up Your Life. I think most of you know I attended Cheryl Strayed's Wild Awakenings writer's workshop a while back. It was a lot of alliteration right there. And when I was there, I met some really incredible women, and I had some really cool conversations with two women in particular, Kendra and Amy. And so I thought I'd ask them to come on to the podcast where we could continue that conversation. And I think you're going to love this episode. In it, we pretty much run the gamut of almost everything in our conversation. We talk about the workshop experience in general and kind of what that was like. We talk about social anxiety and vulnerability and the really weird ways it tends to come out as grown women. We also talk about coping with the vulnerability, especially when it comes to writing and then sharing what you wrote and that whole process, which can be, if you haven't done it, can be rather intimidating. We talk a little bit about self-acceptance and what it means to live a truly connected life and what it might look like if we could accept the things that we think make us unacceptable. Now, Kendra is a screenwriter who lives on the East Coast, and Amy is a therapist who lives in Asheville. And they are both real and honest and authentic women, and I know that you're going to love them just as much as I did when I met them at the conference. I appreciate you being here. Okay, let's dive in. This is going to be what I think is going to be a super fun girlfriend chat. Kendra and Amy and I met at the Cheryl Strayed Wild Awakenings Writers Workshop a few weeks ago. And Cheryl brought up a lot of course, amazing subjects to write about and learn from or whatever. But we kind of formed a little pack, Amy and Kendra and I, and we kind of went around the conference together. And one of the things that was mentioned at the conference was this whole idea of getting to the very vulnerable heart of the story when you're writing. And of course, this means like when you're living as well. And basically how there's the truth and then there's the truthier truth underneath. And then that is where the story is. So I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about how we got to the retreat, how we were feeling at the retreat. I think we mentioned it felt a little bit like middle school, even though like I'm well into my 50s. So Amy, let's talk a little bit about your experience of how you got there, what it felt like when you got there, all that stuff.
Yeah. So I came alone, of course, and I was so happy to meet you guys and form a little pack. Turns out we humans are pack animals too, so we need our people. And you turned into my people very quickly. But before I got there, I was having to talk to myself on the way about how I'm going to show up because I usually go to trainings and conferences with somebody or a group of people, and this was really outside of my comfort zone. So I'm going there. I already feel imposter syndrome because, writing. I want to be a writer. I write things. However, I have a hard time saying I am a writer. So that's number one. And then I know I'm not going to know anybody. So I gave myself a talking to on the way about showing up and being open and ready to connect and not armored up. Like I was saying to you guys before, I am never the cool kid in the room. So I just have to embrace being awkward and weird and know that I'll find my people. So that's where I was at.
Kendra, what about you?
Yeah, I think I hadn't done anything like this in 15 years, which was kind of crazy to think about, that I haven't gone somewhere really by myself and that I hadn't done something for myself in a really long time. But I was terrified. And my friend made me a playlist to kind of like get me on the 2-hour ride there. And yeah, I was just, I come across much more extroverted than I actually am. Which
you do. You come across very extroverted.
Yes. And
I'm surprised.
Me too, because I grew up a very shy person, but I was just struggling with, I don't know anything. I don't know anyone. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, even though 2 people have sent me this workshop the past 2 years. And I was worried about, my friend said, "What are you most worried about?" And I said, well, besides writing, is asking someone if I can sit with them to eat lunch or dinner. I was like, it's just, you've got your little tray and, and the first person I saw was Amy, and she made it really, really easy. And so it was, and then the cool thing was too, other people, just started joining, and Sara became one of those people too. And I
think I was the last one. I was the last one to join the table. So, okay, just to give everybody kind of a reference. So we're at this conference and you get there and like, I think there's dinner first and it's like a cafeteria style dinner. So we're all staying kind of on campus and there's dinner there. There's dinner first at like, I don't know, 6 or something. And then we're all supposed to go to like the first session at 7 or what have you. I don't know the times, but something like that. So you're basically getting there, like you're literally arriving and then you're supposed to go eat dinner. And so you go through like the cafeteria line and you're like, okay. And then like, it didn't even dawn on me until I had my tray and I went to go sit down. And I was like, oh shit, like, wait a minute. Like, I'm going to have to ask somebody if I can sit with them. Like, this is going to be so awkward. And I almost sat, because then there were only middle seats left because I was late. So there was only middle seats left.
Even more frightening.
And so I saw several middle seats and I was like, damn it. Okay. I'm going to have to like go in the middle of these like
elbow
groups.
my way in.
And luckily they set the table, there are only 6 chairs to a table, which is so smart because like you can actually have a conversation. If it's any bigger than that, I think it's harder to have a conversation. But then I looked and I saw your table and it had an outside seat and I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing that. Totally doing that.
That was a score.
It was a total score. So talking about like what kind of got the juices flowing on having this conversation was Cheryl Strayed within her context of like, there's the truth and then there's the truthier truth. And because writing imitates life and I mean, so much that then she talked about like keeping your secrets and being able to talk about the thing that you think makes you unacceptable. The thing that you think makes you unacceptable, right? So I'm thinking about my time there and I'm like, okay, like what makes me unacceptable? Like I'm going to sit down. Am I going to say something weird? Am I going to do something weird? Am I going to like, and then everyone's going to be like, oh, that's that girl from New York, or what, I don't know, whatever.
Because from New York.
It's so like, because I had already kind of shown my ass a little bit at the thing. Remember when I told you? So
wait, is this the truck or is that
the truck? So we're parking. So we have to park and walk. And it's a long way. It's a real long way, y'all, from where I was staying to where we had to be. And so
long way.
And I was driving my mother's Mini Cooper, like itty bitty car. And I park in the parking lot. And as soon as I park, somebody comes up and parks after I do, but she's in a really big truck, like a big, big truck, like an F-250 or something, not even like a 150, like F-250.
Like a farm truck. This is
and
a
it's
serious
like,
truck.
And
it's a tractor at this point.
Yeah,
to me, it could have been a tank. It may as well have been a tank. And I'm freaking out a little bit because I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out because she's parked in, she hasn't done anything wrong. There's nothing wrong. But she's like parked in this weird space. Well, no, she's not in a weird space. Her truck is like coming out. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to be able to get out of this space. And then I'm going to have to walk up that hill to get to the dinner. I may not even make it. Like, I may not even make it on time. This is what I'm thinking. I'm going to have to, I wanted to drive. And I'm thinking, I don't think I'm going to be able to get out of this space. And so instead of just being cool about it, I decided to, I looked at her, she got out of the truck and I was like,
So it started
and,
well.
and then she's like, and I was like, well, oh, do you think I can get, I don't know if, can people get around you? Because I don't want to tell her that I don't think I can get out. And it's important to me that I get out. I can't own myself, right? Because I'm so afraid of doing something that's going to make me unacceptable that I end up doing the thing that makes me unacceptable, to be honest with you. So then she's like, okay, okay, well, they told me to park here. She's so nice. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm worried that somebody's going to hit your car. Then I make it about her. I'm worried that somebody's going to hit her car, which they could have. And then she
true.
proceeds to tell me that it's a rental and they have insurance and she doesn't care. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't solve my problem though, right? And so I'm like, oh, okay. And then she's like, but if you're really worried about it, I can go move it or I can ask somewhere else to park. And I said, oh no, I'm not worried for me. I just was concerned about you. I'm like, and I thought to myself, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me right now?
Who am I?
Like, yeah, what is happening? What is happening here? And so the thing that, I was trying not to do, which was like, I didn't want to be the person who just said what they needed. Like, hey, I don't think I can get out. Like, can you like move to the left a little bit or like, no, I couldn't say that. Right. I had to, because I was like in my stuff because it was a vulnerable time. I was like, we were new to this conference. Then I start making like her parking thing or my issue about her. And it got really awkward. It got really awkward and weird in the parking lot. And I was like, okay, bye. And she's like, bye.
She's like, why is this woman obsessing about my truck?
She's like, we just got here, ma'am.
I'm like, dude, chill out. And of course, I see her every turn for the entire weekend. Of course I do, right? Of course I do. Okay, so anyway, that was my completely awkward moment, and I ended up doing the very thing I didn't want to do, which was
Yep.
So what was that about?
Absolutely.
The hell was that?
I
about?
love that you when you were telling it to me, you said, have you ever said something and regretted it? And I say all the time. Like
all
the time. Like, I don't know why I say things to people. Like, like I did something really awkward the other day myself to two strangers and their dogs. And I thought about you in that moment. And I was like, yeah, I get it. And I was like, I do this often.
Yeah.
They haven't haunted me yet, though. So you were stuck with someone in a really small space for 3 days. So,
and so I go to Kendra because I can't. This girl, like every time I turn, she's a woman. We're women. Okay, this woman. Every time I turn around, she's there, and she's really cool too. You know what I'm talking about? Like, she was really cool. She had a cool outfit on. Her hair was cool, and she had a cool like ring. I was like, damn it, like.
Right.
I just want to be cool.
Got all
I just want to be
cool
cool.
With the cool girl.
Yeah, with the cool girl. And I got real like touchy about the parking space. And so I asked Kendra, I'm like, should I just like go say something to her? Like, hey, I'm so sorry about like, she's like, no, do not circle back.
Don't circle back.
Don't do it.
We're just going to make it weirder.
I know, right? Because it would have just probably made it weirder, right? Like it was already so weird.
But
so
you were
like
thinking about it so much, though. It was so in your, you know what I mean? It was like the next day, I think you asked me that.
I know, because she was haunting me, like everywhere. I couldn't turn around.
There were 300 people there for that conference, and she was always right there.
And this woman was the only one right next to me the entire time. I promise you.
So funny. I know. She was your lesson.
If I had just made it about me, it would have been fine. But no, I had to like go in some kind of weird whatever. I mean, it was so yucky. Yucky. Anyway.
Okay, but I love that. Speaking of vulnerability and the things that make us feel like we're not acceptable. I mean, we all have weird, awkward moments. I mean, I have them all the time. And so what? Right?
Easy for you to say, Amy.
I have to say it all the time. Well, I was the one trauma dumping at the table about my Hurricane Helene experience. Every time I start talking about Hurricane Helene and the experience I had during that, I live in Western North Carolina, I can't stop talking. And then at some point I realize, I'm looking around and I realize like, I have said too much. I've
Oh
said too much.
gosh.
I have some things to deal with. I am a therapist, and I need to talk to my therapist about this more, apparently, you know? So that's, yeah, like we just, and especially in these kinds of situations, I think too, when we're already anxious and we're a little bit hyped up and we get there and yeah, it's just a recipe for awkward vulnerability.
Because you're like, what do I want to show? What do I want these people to see in me? You know,
Yes.
like,
Um,
and I didn't really realize, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize that. Like, we all just want to be liked, and you want to despair her feelings, but there's this that it's goes back to school, you want to go and you want to have a friend, or you want, don't want to make somebody feel bad. And that's it's also being a good person too.
Mm.
that you Kendra, you said something. Oh shoot, what did you just say? You said shoot, what did you just say? The first thing that you said.
I'm really bad at
We're
recall.
all thinking about how we want to show up,
Yes.
We want
What?
people.
how we want to be seen, how do
Yeah.
we want people to see us? Yeah.
Yes. Right. And so we want people to see us in that acceptable way. Right.
Right.
Mhm.
As a nice person.
Mhm.
Or like,
And
yeah, what does
or
that even
as like
mean?
whatever it is, right? As a nice person, as a good person, as a
Hmm.
likable person, and then I mean, we could also throw in there all the ways that we are socialized to be nice, right? Women are socialized to be
Hmm.
nice, and so we're not supposed to have needs, and all that stuff goes pretty deep. And then we show up, and it's like I can't even ask a person to move their car over a little bit because I'm afraid there's this part of me that thinks that's unacceptable.
Well, there's a part of me that thought maybe I was like, I didn't want her to feel like I was accusing her of something or that she did something wrong. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And so like,
yeah,
what is that all about? Like, oh my God.
right, right, yeah.
I mean, so like each one of us, and I'm sure like all 300 people there wanted to show up as some version of themselves,
Mhm.
Yes. Yes,
a certain
that's right.
version of themselves.
That's right.
And what, you know, that could look different to a lot of people. Like Kendra, how did you want to show up? I'm just curious.
I think deep down, I wanted to show up as a self-confident yet empathetic person, and I don't lead with confidence
Mm,
usually. And so I
Mm.
kind of like my mom put me in voice lessons I liked it, but to like help with my posture because I'm always a slumper. So I kind of had to put that voice lessons, you know, facade on. I wanted people to see me as a nice person, and as someone
mhm.
that could approachable and, and confident all in the same time. And I think that's where I was like struggling with the confidence part. And so I kind of had to put on a little cloak, and be like, oh, this
Mm.
is this is who I am, like
Mhm.
who I am in my daily life. I'm cool, I'm confident, everything's fine. Like
Cool.
my legs weren't shaking the whole way here. I didn't cry a little when I first got here. Everything's okay. I
Did you
wasn't
cry a little bit? Did you cry?
I did when we all like of course seeing her because I have a lot of wrapped up stuff with her. But I did. I cried a little. I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
I can't
Okay.
do it. And I'm not a really big crier in that way. I probably
Mhm.
should cry more. But yeah,
Mm.
long version of, my story.
I love
Uh,
it.
Amy, what about you?
I think I wanted to show up and be seen as someone who is uh secure. I think that's always the thing for me is
Mm.
feeling like I have got this and I would tell you guys something funny I haven't told you yet. I told my wife before I
Uh-oh.
left, I was like, I mean, I'm just going there to. This is where I started to armor up, and I had to talk myself out of it on the way. But
Mhm.
before I left, I was like, I'm not going there to make friends. Okay, I'm just like I'm going there to be inspired and have kind of a retreat, and I have got enough friends. I am not going there to make friends. That is so stupid. That is not me. That's not actually me. I love people. All of my life's work is about people and being with people. And, you know, in my inclination to like armor up, that's what I was like. She just, of course, just looked at me like, sure, okay, well, you know, we'll talk about that when you come home with two new best friends or something.
Is that kind of a response to like, I'm gonna reject them before they can reject
Yes,
me?
absolutely. That's that fear that I will be the weird, awkward person that is sitting alone at the table. I mean, it's all that childhood and middle school shit, you know?
Mhm.
And so it's just a defense. And, you know, I was glad I had that 2-hour drive because I was able to go, okay, just go and try to be open, you know?
Mm, mhm.
And I think it's also that like I don't that sort of like cool persona. I don't need to be the life of the party or connect because I'm so secure in myself and confident. It's just bullshit, you know?
I know. I know.
And it's wild to me that, you know, even as we age, these things still like have a hold on us, you know?
Mm.
Like at 41, I was, you know, my husband was like, "You're gonna go and you're gonna make friends." And I texted him that night when I got in and I said, "I'm already on a group chat. It's not a big deal."
Ah,
And he was like, "I told you."
no big deal.
I told
No big
you.
deal, whatever. I
No
mean,
big deal.
I was like, "I'm not gonna tell them how excited I am yet, but they'll figure it out. They'll see me soon."
It-
oh my gosh, I love it
and
so much.
I was in my room like, I wonder if anybody's gonna chat on the group chat. What if they don't? Oh, if they don't, it's okay. I'll be okay. I'll just walk up there myself, or I'll do, I mean, I was like
Totally.
kind of like anxious all night about like whether in the morning we were gonna connect on the group chat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Isn't
Like,
that so funny?
I wonder if they're gonna connect on the group chat. I wonder if they're gonna, if they're like, are they gonna like be like, hey, do you want to walk up together? Like, what are they gonna do? I was so like a little bit wrapped up in that. I think it comes down to like a sense of belonging because you're in a
Yes, yes.
group of people
100%.
and you don't know anybody. I didn't meet anybody that came with somebody that they knew. Did you?
When leaving the first little orientation,
Hmm.
there were some girls, women. I do it too. What is it? Um, and
Maybe
I
because
heard
we feel like little girls when we're there. I don't
100%. I
know.
feel
I
like a
know,
girl all
right?
the
I know.
time.
Yeah.
I'm like, how have I fed myself this long? Um, and I heard two girls say where they were staying,
Hmm.
and it was my first like, and I was like, I'm staying there too. And they, they didn't want to, they weren't as jazzed to be my friends as you guys were. So I'm happy where I live.
Because they already came with a friend. They didn't need
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
Hmm.
They didn't like need to meet me,
Yeah.
And so I was like, they came together, but those were the only two besides people that kind of, found each other. Those are the
Yeah.
two I knew had come together.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were close.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah. I saw a lot of husband wife.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
saw a lot of couples there actually that
Hmm.
came to do it together. And there were definitely some friend groups. Um, but you know, I ended up being really glad I came by myself. I think another way we can armor up, not even intentionally, but just is to come with our person, whoever that is, and
Hmm.
then it gives us this out.
It's
You
a
know that we don't
buffer.
really. Yeah, it's a buffer. It's a
Hmm.
buffer against feeling shy, awkward, vulnerable, whatever it is, right? Because you've
Hmm.
got your person.
And her making us read to strangers also.
Oh,
Oof.
yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
And the prompts.
and the prompts. Yeah, that was intense.
I just need to set up the situation for everyone. So they are holding like the big group sessions. I don't know, there are five, six of them, something like that, where everybody's in one main room set up with chairs that aren't that comfortable. So then they decided they're going to bring in those like back jack things. People could sit on the ground and like lean back a little bit. And it's a meditation room. This is like a meditation retreat center. And so it was their main meditation room, which means that you can't wear your shoes in there, which is fine. I mean, whatever, I don't care. Except for I didn't really come sock prepared for this situation.
You were upset about your sock game. And if I
My
wasn't a
sock
size 10 and a
my
half, I
sock
would
game was like zero, like negative zero.
have
And I didn't bring the right socks. And I already didn't bring the right socks because my jeans were too short for my boots. And then my socks were little footy socks. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
like they didn't come up all the way. So then you saw my skin in between the boot and the jean.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, that bothers me. And I talked to Kendra a lot about that, I think. I was so insecure.
Another vulnerability.
You thought people might notice that little strip of skin and really judge you for that.
And be like, she doesn't even know how to dress. What is wrong with this lady?
Like she did not have it together.
It's like she has a problem with Ford F-250s and
She has a truck prejudice and
she's a parking attendant and doesn't have the right socks.
And so I didn't love my socks. So we'll just put it that way. And so we spent most of the day without our shoes on. And okay, so then you go in and there are rows of chairs, and at the end of each row is what? Did you notice?
Tissue box.
The box
Tissue
of
box.
Kleenex.
Box of Kleenex on every single row. And to me, that didn't say you might cry. That said you're going to be crying. That's what it said to me.
Yeah. Oh, it sent a message.
Like,
it did.
I was like, oh God.
And it made me want to cry.
Immediately.
Yet another thing that made me want to cry. Waterworks over here.
So funny.
So, okay. So then, so Kendra, we're given at the end of each session, or maybe not the end, like after every teaching point that she does, then she had like a list of prompts that you could choose from, usually 3 or 4. So what was that like for you?
I went blank. I was like, I don't remember anything. And I write fiction, but what I ended up writing was about myself, which was very interesting. I was literally every time she'd go, okay, we're going to write in her little great, voice, and everything would just shut off. I don't know if it was a defense mechanism or I was just terrified, but when those prompts would come up, and then the fact that I'd have to find someone, go to someone and say, do you want to be my partner? Like, can I sit with you? It never got easier for me. No matter, and we did, like 8 writing exercises.
Yeah. So she'd give you the prompts and you'd have like 10 minutes to write something in response to this prompt. And then you had to find somebody, preferably who you did not know. That was her request, to find somebody that you did not know. And then the 2 of you were to exchange whatever you had written. Yeah.
My palms are sweating just as you said
like,
that.
Not that that's not terrifying or anything. Wait, who said that they wrote and they ended up writing about themselves? Kendra, that was you. And she would say, it's going to be about you or your character, because there were a lot of memoir writers there. And so it's like, there's the truth of the story, and then there's the truthier truth of the story.
Yes.
So the truth of the story is that Sara did not bring the right socks. And the truthier truth is that Sara was fixated on the socks because she felt so uncomfortable and vulnerable. It was way easier to obsess about the socks than it is to sit in that uncomfortable vulnerability of like, I just shared my guts out to like some weirdo I'm sorry, not weirdo. That's not nice. Some stranger that I'd have no idea. And I've just like basically told them my deepest, darkest secrets, or I've shared my shitty writing with them. Like, I don't even know, like,
or some combination,
or some combination of both.
Right. That's the fear.
Like really crappy. Like they are either going to think I'm a terrible writer or I'm like a weird person, or they're going to find me unacceptable in some way from this share.
And that made me end up saying, when I wasn't sharing with you guys, I would go, okay, so this is a little dark. Like, I don't know, like, like it, like I said that multiple times, and I
did the same thing.
It's like, I'm not writing about a butterfly. I don't know what's happening, and I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah. Because you can't, right? Because you're trying to really get to the heart of the story, whether that's your story or the story that you're writing, And yeah, it was awkward for me when I wrote the prompt, "Time I almost died." Remember that prompt?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of made it into like I had gone with Walter, my husband, to Hawaii, and I bought this black bikini, and I wanted to show off for him. We were not dating very long, and I am a great swimmer.
Own it. I love it.
And it's kind of a joke between the two of us. And there were people cave diving. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go cave. He's going to think I'm so cool. Like, I'm going to go cave diving. Well, the cave didn't have so you go underneath, you cannot see the end of the cave. You're supposed to swim to the end of the cave, but you can't see it. And they said, you're not going to be able to see it, but you're going to go and you're going to turn right, and then you're going to see it, and you'll see the end of the tunnel. And people are just like doing it. Like they're up on the rocks, watching the people, and they're just doing it. I'm watching the people do it. So I know that this is a thing. And I get in the water, and I don't have my own equipment. So people loan me whatever equipment. And my fins are too big. And I kick and I get into the entrance of the cave, and one of my fins comes off. And I go, oh shit. Like, I don't know how long this really is. I don't know if I can make it to the other end without fins. And so I very quickly, I mean, honestly, by the grace of God, I have no freaking idea where I was. It was dark. I mean, I don't even know how I did this. I turn around and I go up. I find the entrance and I go up. Of course, Walter's at the cave entrance, and all he just sees me go down, and then he sees the fin come up. So he's like, oh my God. And there are other people who are standing that we know who are standing on the top of the cave on the other side, waiting for me to come out.
Oh my gosh.
And so there was like panic because I didn't come out on the other side, because I did make it back to the entrance. But so I write about this whole construct about how I almost died, but I tie it into this like black bikini situation that like I was trying to show off in the black bikini, and I'm trying to show off in the whatever, because it's like this new relationship and I want to be cool. Like, I mean, like just exactly what we talked about, right? Like I want to be this person that can be accepted. I want to be the cool girl. I want to look good. I want to, I don't know, whatever, list 100,000 things I could list underneath all of those truths, right? And then I couldn't do it. And I couldn't do it. Like I didn't do it. Like I had to turn around. Now, self-preservation, I legitimately could have died. I mean, it was like, once the fin came off, I was like, I don't know if I can make it. Like, I don't know how long this is. I don't know. And so of course I'm writing this thing thinking I'm going to read it to one of you guys, because I'm talking about my body and I'm talking about the black bikini. And who turns around and is like, do you want to be my partner? But some guy. I'm like, oh, geez.
And by the way, there weren't many men there.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Hardly any.
Yeah.
And so that was I'm sorry, I'm reading this to you.
I don't expect you to understand the black
weird.
bikini.
This is so weird. Like, because I was talking about my vulnerability of like being in my 40s, and like choosing this bikini and then I will say I did read to him, and he's like, okay. Yeah. So
thank goodness we don't have a lot of time to talk about it.
Thank God.
I've really appreciated that saving grace from her.
Thank God.
I do too. Yeah. Mostly because I thought I was going to get myself in trouble with my own awkwardness about talking about somebody else's writing, much less me hearing whatever they thought about mine. But yeah, she really didn't give us much time. So it was like a quick reaction we would get from people, right?
Yeah. Well, his reaction was,
a bit of a non-reaction.
A little bit of a freak out, I think, or like, why is this lady? What's wrong with her?
I know, like, use your words, dude. Like, say something.
Oh my gosh.
Don't make just a noise.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I caught him off guard. Like, I'm sure he wasn't like, I mean, I was in the perils of the middle-aged woman. Like, I don't think he had context for that.
Not really his thing.
Yeah. So
I love that. That is so, yeah, but So vulnerable, so real.
Mm,
Yes. And did that make me unacceptable? Like
mm,
Mhm.
sharing that part of me? Because really, that's what the socks were about. Probably that's what the car was about, to be honest with you. Like I find myself when I'm feeling vulnerable and like I might not be accepted, I find all these things on the periphery to focus on so that I don't have to sit in my discomfort of
Yes.
feeling awkward and vulnerable and possibly cast out of the herd, so to speak.
mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really, really resonate with that. Yeah. Whatever it is, whether it's socks or whether it's a truck or whether it's whatever it is, right? That we're we're gonna find something to over focus on to make us feel like there's maybe something that we could control or could have controlled that would have made this,
Oh,
right?
control.
Mhm.
Yeah. Control, control. Yeah. The illusion of control, I should say.
Right, right, right. Because if I just worn the right socks, then everything would have been fine in the world.
Everything would have been fine and you would have been so secure and confident. It was all
Hmm.
about the socks.
Hmm. I love the control aspect of it because that's really what it is, right? You're trying to jockey yourself into position.
Yeah. And it's our main coping strategy if we're not mindful about it for anxiety, isn't it?
Mm.
That's the go-to for anxiety is, how do I control the situation? How do I control how people view me, right?
It's so true, and I know people in my life that they try to control a situation, and it ends up making it ends up, they try to control a situation they try to control the situation, but it seems like they're ordering people around.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
sorry,
Mhm.
I was thinking about all these other yeah, like, in this
All
realm.
the ways control shows up when we're
Yes,
anxious, right? Mhm.
yes,
Oh,
and now I wonder now I need to look at what's my go-to, you know?
mm.
Like, that's not so these are all the things that's my brain is in, like, super speed. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna sit with it for a minute because it's very interesting because it's probably something I don't wanna look at, like
Of course not.
like I'm like,
Yes.
wonder what something I fixate on. Hmm.
Mhm. Mhm.
I will circle back on this thing.
That's
Oh,
okay.
she will circle back. I like
Sure.
it.
Sure, she will.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, do you think there was anyone there that wasn't anxious a little bit? I wonder, right? Even Cheryl Strayed.
I can't imagine there would
I
be,
can't
right?
imagine, right?
Like, it's such a
Yeah, that
human
feels
experience, such a
yes,
human thing.
that feels so universal that you just mentioned, cast out of the herd, right? And how we
Mhm.
found each other so quickly.
Mhm.
And I mean, that is so primal. I mean, that our survival, our evolution as a species has depended on not being cast out. And
Mm.
that goes so deep. So even when we're showing up in this modern world to this fancy writing conference, um, where we are in our 40s and 50s and we are adults and we have families and we are at the height of our careers
We're grown-ass women,
still. We are grown
damn
ass
it.
women. We are accomplished and smart and all the things. We know this. And yet we're afraid we're going to be cast out.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know, this never goes away.
Do you think some of that has to do with the fact that, like, what the subject matter was, the fact that it was a writers' conference? Because writing is so vulnerable for me and it's so subjective.
Oh
And,
yeah.
I write a lot of like self-help and like personal essay stuff. And so not only like do I want my writing to be good, but I want my story to be good enough too. Like,
Mm,
and then when my stories are very personal, like I've gotten to the point where like if I publish something and want to throw up, then I know it's probably ready to go. Or I could totally resonate with her when she said, it's like I'll look at my work and I'll be like, this is just the worst. I don't know why anybody would even be interested in this. And I was like, thank God somebody else feels that way, right? Thank God, because I feel that way every week when I'm publishing.
mm.
Like every week, I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever written. Send. I mean, and
No one's going to like this.
the more I feel that way, the more of a positive response it gets.
Yes. Yes.
because I'm probably being more vulnerable.
Exactly. Yeah. I believe that.
And you're
So
being truthful. So when you're telling your full truth, you know, which is the scariest, you know, but that's when that's what people connect to. It's not the little bullshit side of us. It's not this, you know, it's not the things that go on in the back of our head that aren't actually real or not perceived by other people.
Yeah.
You know, it's the honesty.
Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of like the socks. Let me focus on that, right? Let me focus on how terrible this is, because if I can designate it terrible, then when somebody comes to me and says it's terrible, then I already know it. So I don't have to worry about what they
You're
say.
prepared. You armor. That's how another way we armor up, right? And try to control what's happening. Is like, if I go ahead and decide it's terrible, then when inevitably everyone tells me it's terrible, then I'm prepared. It won't hurt. I won't.
I already know it's terrible. I already knew that.
I already knew that. You're not telling me anything I don't know. Yeah.
Oh boy. That's something I didn't want to talk about.
Then we should talk about it more.
Then how many of us, right? Like, how many of us aren't writing or aren't doing what we know we want to do because of these
Oh my
issues?
gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm avoiding writing. I'm compiling list of magazines to submit to on a beautiful spreadsheet.
I was wondering about that. I got that text from you. I was like,
what I'm doing. You know what I'm doing. I knew what I was doing.
Oh, that's interesting.
I will prepare to submit a piece of writing all day long. But actually sitting and doing the writing and submitting it, well, that's another story, isn't it? All these ways we armor up and try to deal with our anxiety, right?
And it's when Cheryl even said when her and her husband, they moved to like a cabin in the Berkshires, and he would go to work from 9 to 5 and she would start watching like TLC, you know, like all these shows, and then he'd pretend to write when he was coming through the door. I was like, that's, you know, I get that. Finding any distraction.
Yes.
It could be, you know, be looking at birds outside, like anything I can find, you know, to not do that I feel so compelled to do, because you feel less than in it, you know?
It's like you don't, there's so much uncertainty. And I don't think it's just in writing either. I think it's an art and it's subjective. So yes, it's not like, you know, being a tax accountant or something, you know, something else, you know, another job that you're pouring yourself into. Not that there's anything wrong with that kind of job, but like, at least there is a right and a wrong answer. You know, I mean, you know,
it's
if it's
not subjective,
right.
it's numbers.
Yeah, you know, if it's not right, like the sheets don't balance, like the numbers don't balance, like, you know, like, oh, I have an error here and I need to correct that error. And when things are more creative and more subjective, you don't have that. And I think it is so vulnerable. Like, I've created this thing, and will you like it? And by extension, will you like me?
Yes. Will you like this, my ultimate creation, which is myself, right? Not only will you like my writing, but will you like me?
Oh, I love that. My ultimate creation, which is myself. Holy crap.
I love that. I'm gonna
write that. I should write that down.
I'm gonna say it again.
Y'all should write that down. We should record this.
We should record this.
We should record this.
I know. We should put that out there.
Say that.
Wow.
I want to get it verbatim.
Well, the ultimate creation is ourself, right? I mean, our writing is an extension of that, but what we're really afraid of is, are they going to like this creation of me? You know, we've spent our entire lives creating whatever version of ourselves we are right now, and is it good enough? Is it acceptable? Right?
Good enough. I know. Yeah.
Is it good enough, or is it too much too? I think as women, I think we're, you know, I think we've been told, I'm a little bit older than you guys, so I think we're getting better at this, but we've been told we're just too much. Because society traditionally has wanted women to remain small. And so if you are anything other than small, or if you're trying to make yourself bigger in some way, shape, or form, if you're trying to grow, if you're trying to take up more space, if you're trying to make your way in something, there's been kind of an talked about message basically that says, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. You're too much.
And sometimes talked about. That's right.
Well, talked about too, right? Talked about. Right. So go back to the cafeteria.
That's right. Yeah.
And like, granted, everyone there was I didn't meet, I bet a bunch of wonderful, wonderful people and amazing people.
Absolutely.
You. But I remember going to the table in middle school and like, we don't want you to sit with us today. Today.
Oh,
maybe tomorrow.
Oh my God, I could feel that right now in my little heart. Yes.
And that's girls doing it to each other.
Oh my God,
I feel like
it's
boys
so
don't
true.
They're not like that as much. And I think there's such a jockeying for status and position. And, of course, I did not receive any kind of like foul comments like that at this workshop. Like, can I sit with you? It's like, absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I walked up to Amy and she said, no, I might have to leave. I was like, I just might need to go.
I think my response was actually, yes, please. I'm all alone. Please,
I'm all alone.
That's exactly what you said. Yes, please.
Yeah, right. Right.
Or it would have been like, I would also get like, oh, we're saving this for so-and-so.
Oh, right. Yes. We're
saving the seat.
Which could have happened, but,
sure.
It's, why do we do that to each other? Why do we do that to ourselves?
It goes really deep. It's really deep and old.
Really deep and old. It's almost like there's like a scarcity of, how do I want to say this? A scarcity of like attention or acceptance of something kind of tangible. And there's only room for so many X amount of people here.
Yes. A scarcity of belonging then, right? Okay. There's only room, right? There's only room for so many is maybe the fear that we have.
And if I accept you, then I'm going to have to cast somebody out, or I might be the one that's cast out. And like, how messed up is that? Why? Like, why? And I feel like we do it. It's done all throughout childhood. And then we come into adults and we're just like 3 grown, capable, competent, smart women are like spinning out at the friggin'
right. That's right.
I mean, and it's like flashback city to middle school cafeteria.
Oh, totally. I can still, it's so funny how certain images are burned in your mind. I can still picture my middle school in particular. I do not remember the high school cafeteria, but I remember the middle school one like it was yesterday. I just get such a hard time for girls in particular. Maybe, I don't know, can't speak to the boys because I don't, not one, but I know it's a really hard time for girls.
Yeah.
I don't know. My 7-year-old's already dealing. I mean, she's been dealing with some of this since preschool, to be honest. I mean, it starts so young. It starts so young where it's like, you can't play with us today, or I'm not going to invite, you have to do this, or I'm not going to invite you to my birthday party. You know, I mean, it just starts so young. So no wonder it gets in so deep. I mean, every memory, I'm not saying every memory is colored with this, but every time of our lives has these memories as far back as we can remember.
I even remember when I was 21, 22, moved out to LA. I didn't speak for 3 weeks. Like I knew like 3 people out there. And the only time I would like be myself was when I was at my childhood best friend's house with him and all his roommates. And like the other 2 people that knew me were like, are you okay? And like their friends, when they'd introduce me to other people, they'd be like, is she okay? Like I was just it was such a mixed group of people, and everybody was cool, and they seemed like they had their shit figured out. And I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know what I'm doing here. And I just want people
Mhm.
to think I'm cool and that I, have my shit figured out at 22, which is,
Oh, yeah.
just ridiculous. What a pipe dream.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, and it made me feel like my younger self, in the
Mm.
moment. And then we still have those moments, the going to a conference, later in life and still getting that fear
Mhm.
of I'm somebody's not going to like me, or
Mhm.
somebody's not going to like me enough to want to get to know me,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This whole, belonging thing is so huge.
Mhm.
It's really so huge.
Yeah. It is.
Hmm. And, I think about, so the antithesis to this, right? The antidote to this is grace, acceptance of, other people, but acceptance of yourself.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
that's the hardest part for me. So I've got this, crazy middle school, jam happening in my head. And can I accept that about
Yes.
myself and just be
Yes.
cool with it? Like,
Yep.
can I just accept the fact that I freaked out about this F-250 and just let it go?
Right.
Be like, "What in your best moment, Sarah? Not your
Wasn't your
best moment.
finest hour, and
Not
so
your
what? It's
worst.
fine.
Not your
Not your worst
worst."
though. Oh,
Right.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the thought of she might not have thought anything more of it, where we take it and
Oh, she did.
we're enough to haunt you. And she's like, I'm going to be everywhere this
She's like, I'm
lady.
gonna
Yeah.
stalk you and you're
Just
gonna be
gonna
so
follow her
I'm going to be
around.
everywhere and I'm going to look so cool doing it.
uncomfortable.
She did. She looked so cool, didn't she? She was so
That makes
cool.
it so much worse, doesn't it?
I know. Does make it so much
Oh.
worse. Makes it so much worse. And then she had her partner. She was like, "Well, let me talk to my partner and see, what she says." I'm like, "Okay." And then her it was either her or her partner next to me every time I turned around.
Oh my God.
Every time
Yeah.
I turned around. So, I don't know, what do you guys think when it comes to accepting yourself and your flaws, accepting other people and maybe their moments that weren't their finest moments,
Mhm.
you know? How do we do
I
that?
think I think it's I think it's easier to accept other people in their moments
Mm.
and the level of forgiveness for them, whatever it may be, than to do it for myself. Because
Mhm.
Mhm.
I'm overthinking conversations, you know, but someone does something and they're like, "Oh, I fucked up," and you're
Mhm.
like, "Okay, I still love you. You're still a person," and I don't know. It's like it's something that has haunted me forever, and I don't know the answer, as far as maybe it's just more believing in myself and kind of building myself up more, and maybe doing more for myself,
Mm.
more self-care and self-love in that way.
Mm.
And instead of going to oh, I have to be the caregiver. I have to be the one that makes this okay. Or I have to be the one that makes you feel comfortable and, that reassures you in life. I have to give, I know
Mm.
I'm rambling, but Amy, what is your perspective on this? It's, as a therapist, as a human, as a mom,
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think Sarah's spot on with the acceptance piece, right? I
mm,
mean, eh, not that let's be clear. I have been a therapist for over 20 years and I still have not got all my shit figured out. So let's all just have that as the baseline.
What?
I
What?
know. I know, shocking.
Forget it. Just log off.
Shocking.
Right
I
now.
also love that you
right?
said I have a
Expert
therapist. Don't
schmexpert.
trust a therapist that doesn't have a therapist.
I did. I tell people
Oh,
that.
that's
Do
right,
not
you
trust a
do.
therapist who has not been in their own therapy, people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is true.
Helpful,
Okay.
helpful
Side
hint.
note, PSA to everyone listening.
right.
All 30 of you. All 30 of you listening.
All 30 of you need to make sure your therapist has been in therapy.
Has a therapist.
That's right. It has a therapist.
Mhm.
I don't trust you if you don't. So, but I think the acceptance is key. And one of the things that we often try to do, and I'm talking to clients about a lot, is these parts of ourselves that we
Mhm.
don't particularly like or freak us out or make it, you know, like going
Mhm.
back to what makes us unacceptable, right?
Mhm.
And so our tendency is going to be to try to eradicate those parts or heal those parts. We might try to, put some really pretty language around it, but really what we're saying is, I don't like that part and I want it gone.
Mhm.
And making peace with those parts. And I'd like to think that even this conversation we're having right now is healing for the three of us. I feel it, right? It's
Mhm.
just, that how universal this feeling is and how
Mhm.
we're all, everyone there was experiencing some version of this.
Yeah.
Can we just accept that and give ourselves grace around that?
Yeah.
Knowing that we're not alone in that. We never will be, and just radically accept that we no part, as they say in internal family systems.
Yeah.
No, there are no bad parts, right? There
Yeah.
are no bad parts.
Mm.
No.
But it feels like there are.
Yes, that's the part in parentheses. But it feels like that needs to be the name of somebody's book. We need to take the no bad parts book and then put in parentheses.
Yeah.
But it feels like it.
But it feels like it. It does,
Yeah.
right? Because
it does. It does. And that's why it's a, just like Cheryl was talking about building up your writing muscles. I mean, it's
Mhm.
building up the muscle, right?
Yeah.
It's a practice to constantly reframe that and remind yourself of that.
Mhm.
It's like any kind of practice, like a meditation practice. It's something that we have to do constantly. We can't do it once or twice, which is
Mhm.
really frustrating for me.
Mhm.
I like to get things quickly.
Yeah, me
and
too.
I do not always, hardly ever, probably.
Hmm. Do you think we have trouble like accepting our own humanity? Do you think that's it?
Mm,
Or are we conditioned that we have to be quote unquote perfect all the time?
yeah, that's a good
I don't know what
question.
perfect means, by the way. I don't know really what it means.
I've never experienced it, so I'm not sure.
No, me either.
But yeah, I think, well, I just think it's really vulnerable to be human, right?
Mhm.
I mean, this is what comes off the top of my head, is
Mhm.
that if we're not mindful about it, we're going to spend our entire lives trying to avoid vulnerability. Okay.
Mhm.
And it is inherently vulnerable to be human,
Yeah.
to love, to be real, to be in the world. That's such a vulnerable thing. And we're just constantly trying to armor ourselves so that we don't
Mhm.
feel it.
Mhm. Oh, that's the socks.
That's the damn socks.
Ox.
The socks. Yes.
Wow,
Right.
ladies.
That's right. It all comes back to the socks.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah. Okay, I need to know. Am I the only one that had like a fixation like that? Who else had a fixation like that? Am I it? Is that just the way I process things? What were y'all's fixation?
I'm trying to think.
You know what? I tell you, mine wasn't a thing. This is a real vulnerable place for me, is feeling like I can't physically do the things other people can do. And so
Mm.
feeling like, I mean, every damn time I had to walk up that hill, and not that
Mhm.
I had to, I forced myself to,
I
because
thought
I
I
was
picked
going
you
to
up most
do
of
it.
the days. Did I not pick you up most of the days?
No, ma'am, you did not. I wish you had.
How did I not? Oh, one day I walked. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah,
to
It was
interrupt.
the day we all walked.
Oh, that was a terrible day. Why
That
did
was
we do
awful.
that? It's
I
terrible.
don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I was like really fixated on, I'm not in as good a shape as anybody else. And
Oh.
it wasn't like a physical thing or like an outside thing for me. It was this perception I have of myself that everybody else has that part of their lives together, that these are all very healthy people. And I'm not unhealthy, but you know, I'm also not so into the aerobic activity. Not really my thing. So I was just really self-conscious about that. So every time I would set off on a walk, I'd be huffing and puffing, sweating. It's like 50 degrees out. I'm pouring sweat. And I'm a sweater. Okay. It is genetic. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Kendra, you too.
Kendra?
Yeah,
Remember me coming in like Kramer? Like I like came in like all bubbly, like what? And there's these two new amazing women, and I had like I couldn't find my friend I'd hiked with, and I was worried that she was going to hate me because I couldn't find her, and she thought I ditched her, and she didn't, because I had to circle back on that because I saw her anyway. I was a mess. Y'all started handing me napkins.
Everybody at the table's handing you napkins.
Yes, and my favorite was Sarah looked at me and goes, "Wow, you really are sweating." I was like, "I know, I'm dying," and I was like in that beam of sunlight, like gonna, shrivel up like a vampire. And I was, the hiking was hard, Amy. You did great.
Oh, thanks.
I've never seen somebody's face with that much sweat on it, like in the winter or like whenever. Like it wasn't even hot out. Like
And I had a beanie
That's the
on.
thing. It wasn't even hot.
It wasn't hot. It was the sheer like amount of exertion
It
to
was
get
a
up
lot.
that thing. And then I'm talking, you're talking to someone, even if you're not talking to someone. I was like, I'm a mess. I was like, I need to go somebody just pour cold water on my head. I'm gonna call it a day.
Yes. Yes. That's right. That's right. So
Amy, I'm sorry we interrupted you in your
Yes.
vulnerability story. That was kind of rude.
I feel seen. I feel seen by what you're saying, Kendra. I feel very seen. No, I mean that is always like a really vulnerable place for me though, because I just I don't know. Well, what's funny is the stories I was telling myself while I'm hiking up these hills is I'm like, you know what? I am going to get in shape. I'm going to go back to Asheville. I live in the mountains, for crying out loud. I'm going to go hiking. I'm going to start hiking. Have I hiked since I got back? No, I have not. No, I have not. It's fine.
Well, true confessions, I made sure that I did not link up with anybody when I had to walk up the hill because I knew I would not be able to talk and walk up that thing at the same time. So I strategically positioned myself so that I would not be walking up there with anybody. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. I figured that out later on, but in the beginning I was trying to have conversations and not able to talk at all.
I could not, I knew, I looked at that thing and I was like, it's not going to happen. It's either me or the hill. It's going to be everything I got to get up this thing.
Yeah. Well, I had only come down it. And so I was like, oh, I came down it yesterday. And I was like, sweet Julia from Vermont asked if I preferred to walk alone. And I didn't want to be rude, but I kind of did because I didn't know I needed kind of a minute. And the walking and talking is what made me, come in sweaty Kramer. So that was a great boost.
Oh yeah. I was very strategic about that so that I wouldn't look like I was out of shape.
I love it. I think it's hard to explain. Have you guys found this too? I mean, because it's like, oh, it's the mountains, it's hilly. I feel like no matter how I explain these hills to anyone, they're just like, they don't get. I'm like, you don't understand. I felt like I almost needed rock climbing gear to get up these hills in this place. I had no idea. And now I understand when I looked at the reviews why everybody's talking about what it's like to walk to the places. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So these are serious hills, people.
Yes.
In my review, I said, it's a great place, but please believe them when they say you need to bring hiking shoes and yoga clothes. Just believe them. Don't try to be like, no, I can look cute. I'm going to bring my boots and I'm going to bring my cute, no.
Don't be trying to look cute. That's right. And if it's winter, bring a coat, but also bring tank tops.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, I'm going to hike in a sports bra tomorrow. Y'all were like, no, you're not. I was like, you're right. I'm not. That's way too vulnerable too.
I mean,
no, you're not.
No judgment there, but yeah, probably you're not.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Oh my word, you guys. I
think for one of the things I got fixated on while we were there was during the writing exercises. Because I'm like, Sarah's over here typing away. Look, all these people that got up and shared. they were like full-fledged stories and they were long. And I was like, I maybe have 10 lines if I'm lucky. And so I fixate on, oh, I'm not smart enough. Or I go back to that a lot.
I'm not smart enough. I don't have anything to say. I'm
Yes.
not creative.
Yes.
Nobody cares about this. I don't know why
Right.
anybody would care about this. Okay, I just have to say, some of those people that got up and read, there's no way in hell they wrote all that in one 10-minute session.
Right?
I looked over at you, Amy, one time. I was like, how did all that come out in 10 minutes?
I don't think it's physically possible to write or type that much in 10 minutes. That's fully formed in that way.
There were a few people that had like 1,200 word essays, full 1,200 word essays that were completely complete.
Yes.
I was
like, no
so
way.
confused. Yeah, I know. It's funny because and there was some really good writing there. I mean, people were real beautiful writing. But some of it was so long that I was like,
no way.
Really? Really? I mean, it would take me 2 or 3 minutes to choose the writing prompt. I would rather her have just given us one, because then I just, that was my first hurdle, was trying to choose the writing prompt.
Yeah.
And then I would have to go, okay, now what can I even write about? So that, 5 minutes in, I'm like, okay, I guess I should write now.
I know. I got real familiar with the ceiling because that's where I was looking most of the time, trying to figure out what I'm gonna write.
Familiar with the ceiling. I love it.
Yes, I was like, okay, how many tiles is this now? And I mean, same. And it's it's intimidating too. Knowing that you are gonna have to share it with someone, and if she taps you on the shoulder, with everyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hats off to the people that really wanted to go up there and do it too. But
yeah, there were a lot. There were a lot, but some of them. I mean, you're right though. Some of the writing was absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
There's a couple. I'm just saying. I'm calling BS on just maybe 2 or 3. But I was like,
that's right. That's right.
No way, honey. No. No.
That makes me feel better. I didn't even think that they had a bag of tricks somewhere.
I mean, it felt like not only had they written it before, but it had been edited as well. Like, that's what it felt like. I was like, you're a writer and an editor and a speed typer? Like, did we have the same 10 minutes, or did you stop time and were able to, like, what happened here?
That makes me wonder if some people were showing up hoping to be, so another little vulnerable question, right? What a vulnerable thing if you're like sort of hoping you'll be discovered by Cheryl Strayed, right? So I mean, I don't think about that. I believe me, I had no illusions about that, but
I didn't even think
wonder,
about that.
Some of these folks have maybe published or really want to publish and are really, we're hoping it'd be a smaller group. That's another thing. We had no idea how many people were going to be there, but we never got informed. So
we knew nothing.
We didn't know
about
if it would be 20, 50, or turns out 300.
Yeah.
So, I bet there were some fantasies there of being discovered.
I get that. Yeah, I get that. That would make sense.
Sure.
That would make sense. I mean, I think that, so, so to go back to your question, Amy, I'm sure everybody felt the same way in terms of I mean, like, if you realize, if like you take another piece that you have written elsewhere, or maybe just like edit it a little bit, like during that 10 minutes or whatever, like, it's because, it's because you're afraid, like, to just be like, yeah, here's my 10 minutes worth right here. Like, I wrote some shit, like, it's like, here's my 10 minutes. This is what I got.
Yeah. This is what I've got in 10 minutes, totally unprepared. And that was the point.
And it's no good. Like, it's like, I mean, but it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be any good. It's like 10 minutes.
No, that's right. That wasn't the point.
Yeah.
And that's something I had to keep reminding myself of. These are 10-minute writing prompts. This isn't about producing something that's polished. That's something you would publish. It's just the act of creating, right? And being vulnerable in that way.
Well, and getting to the heart of the story, I think. Like I kept thinking, like, okay, the truth is this. What's the truer truth?
I love that. And I love that we keep coming back to that. There's the surface truth, and then there's the real truth, the deepest truth.
What do you think would happen if we all lived our lives that way?
What would happen
Oh.
if we just kept acknowledging our deepest truths all the time and living in that way?
Yeah,
I don't know. Let's try to find out.
if we accepted the thing that we think makes us unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. In some ways, I think I've been working on that my whole life, but there's always more work to do.
Well, yeah, I agree. Same here.
Mm-hmm.
Same here. Same here.
Mm.
All right, let's go away with that.
I like it.
All right, everyone listening. Challenge for you. Well, it was a really awesome weekend, and I mean, really, it got so deep, and it was great meeting you guys, and it was just fun.
Mm-hmm. It was, and if I only came away from it with you two in my pocket, that would be way more than enough.
Same. I feel very, very lucky, and that's what I've been telling everyone, because everybody was like, "We have to talk about it." And I was like, "Well, let me tell you about my two new friends first." And I mean, it really made it a rounded experience for me, honestly, and I will be forever grateful.
Aw.
Now we're tied for life, y'all. That's just the way it works.
Tied.
You have no choice. Oh well.
That's the way it is.
Says the one who showed up not making friends. I don't need any friends.
She's not gonna have any more friends.
No more friends.
How did you show up, Kendra? You showed up with like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And I showed up kind of clueless until I was standing there with my tray. I was like, oh shit.
Oh right.
I haven't thought this through.
Oh well, we all managed. We did great.
We did.
Yeah, we did. Okay, everybody, that's your challenge. Find the truth underneath the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yep. It's all good. All right. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to How to Blow Up Your Life. If you like this show, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, and it helps more than you know. You can join me on Substack at sarastansberry.substack.com, where we continue these conversations. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Sara Stansberry. This podcast is produced by Shout More Quietly Productions. Music by Jay Ferris. All links and information are in the show notes. Now go forward and blow up your life.